There comes a moment in life when the noise fades, the applause stops, the calendar no longer dictates your day, and suddenly, you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering, is this it? Midlife crisis. People talk about it like a joke. A red convertible, a gym membership, a sudden love for skydiving, but what no one talks about is the silence, the stillness, the days that blend into each other, when your name isn't called, your presence isn't needed, and your phone stays silent. This is not a story about success. It's a story about falling. It's about cracks in the foundation of everything you thought you built, and somehow, through that collapse, finding a gift you never saw coming. In the next few minutes, I invite you to walk with me, not as a coach, not as a guru, but as a fellow traveler, one who once got lost in the middle of life and found something priceless in the quiet. It started slowly, not with a crash, not with a scream, but with a quiet moment on a Tuesday morning when I looked in the mirror and asked, what the hell happened to me? I used to be someone, a boss, a father, a provider, a man with meetings, deadlines, responsibilities, and now, I was a 56-year-old man sitting alone in a quiet kitchen staring at a cup of cold coffee. The house was silent. The phone didn't ring. The world no longer needed me. They call it a midlife crisis. But that word feels too tidy, too clean. This wasn't a crisis. It was a slow unraveling, like someone pulling the thread from the edge of your life, and everything just came loose. I'd been laid off from a company I'd helped build for 20 years. Budget cuts, restructuring. It's not personal, but it felt personal. Still, I told myself, you're strong. You'll bounce back. Except, I didn't. Days became weeks. Weeks turned into blurry months. I stopped shaving, stopped opening the curtains, stopped caring. My wife tried to be kind. My kids tiptoed around me. Friends stopped calling, and that's when it hit me. I didn't miss the job. I missed the feeling of being needed. I had spent so many years being useful that when the world no longer needed me, I didn't know who I was. I wasn't just unemployed, I was invisible. At night I would lie awake staring into the dark thinking, is this all there is? Did I peak already? What's left for a man like me? I didn't tell anyone. Because how do you say out loud that you feel worthless when the world tells you to man up? One morning, I found myself sitting in the car, parked in a grocery store lot. I had no reason to be there. I just didn't want to go home. I looked at the people walking in and out, young moms, old couples, teenagers, all moving with purpose, and I felt like a ghost. That day, something broke, but maybe something also cracked open. Because I decided, not out of inspiration but desperation, to do one small thing, help someone else. Just one thing, no job title, no applause, just show up for another human being. When people talk about rock bottom, they make it sound like one moment. But for me, it was a long, slow burn. I kept showing up, not for work, not for glory, but to help a neighbor, fix a fence, carry groceries, mow a lawn. And every night, I still felt like less than I used to be, less than I thought I should be. I thought helping people would make me feel whole again. It didn't. I helped June, the 80-year-old down the block, organize her garage. She offered me lemonade and smiled, but I still went home and cried in the shower. For years, I was Mr. Johnson from accounting. Now I was just that guy who walks around the block. I felt stripped of everything I thought made me me. And yet, there was something strangely honest about it. I wasn't pretending anymore. I wasn't chasing a title. I was just trying to survive. One night I was having coffee with an old friend I hadn't seen in years. He looked at me and said, "You know, it's like we spent 30 years building a ladder, climbing it, and now we realize it was leaning against the wrong wall." That hit me. because he was right. I had built a life of goals, success, recognition, but none of it prepared me for the question, who am I without all that? Letting go of the old version of me felt like grief. I wasn't mourning a job. I was mourning the illusion of control. The story I told myself about success, about worth, about what a real man is. And sometimes, the grief still came back like a wave. But through it all, I kept doing small things, kept showing up. Even when I didn't believe in myself, I acted as if I might matter. Transformation doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It comes like a whisper, a nudge, a morning when you get out of bed, not because you have to, but because you want to. I began waking up earlier, made coffee, sat on the porch, watched the sky change colors. I wrote down 3 simple things to do each day. Water the plants, call an old friend, fix the broken drawer. They weren't big things, but every time I checked something off, I felt present. I felt alive. I reconnected with an old coworker. He, too, had been let go. We laughed about how lost we both felt, and it was the most honest conversation I'd had in years. We started a little group, just a few guys meeting every Saturday for coffee. We called it Men Without Meetings. No pressure, no plans. Just space to be real. One morning, June's granddaughter handed me a crayon-colored card. It said, "Thank you for helping my grandma. She says you're her hero." I kept that card. It reminded me I still had something to give. While cleaning the garage, I found my old guitar. Hadn't touched it in years. I cleaned it up, tuned it, strummed a few chords. That night I played Let It Be to myself and cried. Not out of sadness, but because I felt whole. I started posting short videos of me playing. People commented, "This made my day." I thought I was the only one feeling this way. And suddenly, my pain became someone else's medicine. My daughter said, "Dad, you should share your story. Other people need to hear it." So I did. I wrote it down, posted it online. Hundreds of people reached out. Not to say, "Wow, you're amazing," but to say, "Me too." I didn't get my old job back. I didn't become famous. But I found something more important. I found myself. A man who wakes up grateful, who plays guitar in nursing homes, who listens more than he speaks, who knows his worth, not because of what he achieves, but because of who he chooses to be. If you're in the middle of the quiet, if your days blur together, if you feel like no one needs you anymore, let me tell you this: you are still alive, and that is enough to begin. Start small. Say yes to coffee. Water the plants. Fix the drawer. Help your neighbor. You're not too late. You're right on time.